Hello everyone, welcome to the MOC Mecanique Sportive YouTube channel. This is Nicholas. Today I present to you the Mazda 3. It's been a long time since I did a Mazda. I recently did the Mazda 2. There has been the MX-5 a while ago, but I haven't done the rest of the range. I thought let's do two little Mazdas just like that. And they're the three. It's been out for a while now. It has a look that I really like, this red color that I adore from the brand. And I thought I would do a test of this version with the new 140 horsepower engine. So as usual, a complete tour of the car. I give you all the features, the different models, the finishes, and then we do a test to see the consumption on the road, to see what it gives with this micro hybridization, since it is not yet a true hybrid. The only true hybrid I believe there is the Mazda 2, which is based on the Toyota Yaris. Well, when I was testing the Mazda 2 this weekend, they announced an electric Mazda 6. Yeah, 100% electric. It'll be the first one, I believe, really 100% electric from the brand in a sedan. Can't wait to test that, which will be shared with a Chinese base. But this is the real Mazda 3. We'll see how it performs. It's a car that measures 4 meters 46 long or 4 meters 66 long. Two versions, as there's this 5-door version. There will also be the sedan version with the trunk, really with the trunk lid that goes down. In France, very few sedan versions are sold. It's about 15% of sales only. 85% of sales go to this one, which I also find much prettier, but just in case, it exists. So it's 20 centimeter longer, but it's only the bodywork that is that way to have a different trunk. After the chassis level, the wheelbase will be the same thing with a wheelbase of 2 meters 73 for this car. 1 meter 79 wide without the mirrors, around 2 meters with the mirrors, and 1 meter 44 tall. It's a car that weighs between 1,450 and 1,500 kg, or 1,600 kg in 4-wheel drive, because yes, it also exists in 4-wheel drive. So there's quite a choice on this car. It starts from 1,500 euros. Today I have it in the highest range version, leather, really stylish interior. You'll see that inside. At the engine level, two style engines. We will have either the 2-liter Skyactiv G 140 horsepower, which is what I have here today in automatic 6-speed. And there will be the 2-liter Skyactiv X versions, which are different, which were 186 horsepower and are available in 2-wheel drive or in 4-wheel drive. This Skyactiv G version, only front-wheel drive. At the trim level, from Prime Line Plus, Homo Aura Plus, Exclusive Line Plus, 5 different interiors. We will have black, gray, brown, red. Each time it is in leather, we will have rims that go from 16 inches to 18 inches. And we will have 6 styles of rims. We can have aluminum rims and even bronze colored rims. That's original. The bronze with this red color would look super good. Too bad it's not here. Didn't choose that today. Car 100% gasoline. Micro hybridization only, no real. And to the hybridization, with a full tank of 51 liters of gasoline, we can usually cover more than 600 kilometers. The car can still tow up to 661.387 pounds, which is practical. The Mazda's front end features a recognizable plunging style with a large grille. Let's take a closer look. On the front, the 2 round headlights with angel eyes similar to BMW's design are instantly recognizable. The lighting signature is quite interesting, with 100% LED and intersection lighting. The large open grille features the prominent Mazda logo, seamlessly integrating the driver assistance sensors. The high-quality cameras are well hidden and discreet, with the license plate positioned centrally. We have a plastic blade on the bottom, the color here, the red suits him well, and this black here which pulls a bit to the golden black with a lot of golden glitter in the sun. It's beautiful, and it's not sloping here and there, it's really vertical. I find this great. There are the cameras up there for driving aids. We have a head-up display, and also frankly it has style, this car. And even the headlight units, when we look at them from here, it's very worked on. It's really in 3D, and I like that. And on the side, it comes back with the plexi here. It's well worked on the side. It's something much more fluid, the front, as much it is aggressive. And the side, in fact, we say these are very rounded lines. It contrasts between the front and the back wheels that go from 16 to 18 inches. As I told you, we still have a little bit of chrome on this car. They like that in Asia. Fridge type handle here and here. this part here, which is very rounded. It's the same here. We really have something very rounded compared to the front, which was much more cut out. I find it suits her well. It's simple. The red suits her very well. It's the same. The reds contrast with dark red and brighter red, and the glitter stands out well in the sun.
It's enough.
Pleasant. We have a very fine small blade here, which makes a small detail. It's nice. A small 3/4 backstroke, my favorite, but slightly different this time. Let's make it a bit larger, and voila, it's now a CX-5. Yeah, this part, it's a bit special, but why not? We have a very long bouquet. What do you think about this? Mazda 3's 3/4 back there is something different from the others. In reality, on the back, so according bouquet, is said very inclined windscreen wiper, fortunately, because on this kind of windows, it's quite important, the big Mazda logo, Mazda 3 down there, active chicken I have here. So to remind this micro hybridization and this new engine with specific cycle fires will therefore have will have illuminated red here. It's from the rear assistance also. So car, which is increasingly recent now. We put milk everywhere, especially at these prices. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you, starting from 1,500 euros, but a crowd like that, we about 40,000 euros, which starts to do a little bit of money. Moreover, everything is painted on the back as on the front. No ugly plastic. That's still the minimum for vehicles that want to be more and more top range, and Mazda wants to position itself more and more premium. Also, we'll see what it gives inside. There are 2 exhaust outputs to watch everything from this side, the cars that have big engines. Often there are 2 exhaust outputs, and it also makes you think there's more power psychologically. We say it's a thing that should work well, but in addition, it's prettier. And I like when it's symmetrical to open. We open under the small Mazda logo. Here, a trunk of, if I'm not mistaken, 330 liters on this version. We go up to 450 liters on the sedan version. So we still gain 120 additional liters when we have a trunk, because we still add 20 centimeters to the back of this car. The front will be the same. It's just here, hop longer, trunk here like this. So in length, we will gain a little bit. And there, as you can see, it is so cut at the back that, in fact, on the height, you have nothing to compare to a sedan version. So we will really gain on the length of the space of the other hard beach here. We have a small button to lock if the key is in my pocket. Pressing this locks the car, which is quite convenient. Also, no motorized door for 40,000 euros. And I would have thought I could at least have that for the trunk. You're probably wondering. Of course, you're wondering if Nico fits, but I believe I fit in 180 liters. So obviously, 330 is fine. There's a small LED here, and that's it. Oh yeah. That's really all. There's not even a little hook for shopping bags or something. It's really simplicity. We have the sleeve that folds down 2/3, 1/3 with tap tail, fastening and isofix. Come on, let's see the inside. So inside of this car, what's it going to be like? I have a door that is quite large after all. We have a nice opening angle that facilitates our entrance into this car. And similarly, when I open it, it's padded on the top. There's this overstitched leather part. The chrome trim here with the handle, even the corridor here, it's pretty. Does the small window that opens go all the way down with this beautiful finish? It goes all the way down. And this is great because when I'm going to rest my arm in the summer, it will be much nicer and it's prettier when it's fully open. Small pocket here, so we only have plastic on the bottom, but otherwise the door is very well finished. I come in, come on, I'm going to sit here. Nicholas at 6 feet. The front seat is adjusted for me. I'm going to close this door. Well, not this door, this window, because it's a little chilly. Outside, it's how much? They're 1 degree Celsius. There you go. Nicholas is 5 feet 10 inches tall, so if I stand straight, my head will touch the top and I can't look to the side. When I'm straight, I have to bend my back a little bit at the knees. It just passes. I barely pass 1 finger, 2 fingers. No, it's too much. The feet, there's room, the head. If I put myself a little bit there like that, it's okay. I have the hair that comes to rub a little bit, but I would have preferred to be really straight because sometimes it feels good to relax. On the other hand, I take a Doden, hop, it's going to knock a bit up there. The window here is not that big, so it's a bit long. Me, who is tall, I have this part that comes to block my view. So I really have to slide a bit, but for the back on long trips, it's not necessarily top. And then I also have to spread because otherwise I'm there and I come to touch the seat. The back seemed to have a bit of support. Really, if I was 1.70 meters, I think I would be well at 1.70. It's top at the back or less. Do we have a central aisle here? Yes, from a very simple central aisle. Same with the same texture, double cup holder there. Yeah, why not? We have the third buckle here that wandered directly on a strap. The third belt, the same on the bench, as I said, it's a fixation on the back bench. If there are 2/3, 1/3, so this part there and this seat, the fixation, top tether, ISOFIX for the baby seats. We have a huge central tunnel here. Since she also exists four-wheel drive for the transmission, that does not go up to there. On the other hand, a little disappointed, the Nico on a high-end finish like that at the back. I don't have USB-C port. I don't have air conditioning. In fact, I have nothing, and I don't even have a pocket here at the back of the left seat for a car at 40,000 euros. It lacks like a few little things I find when I come in the middle, so I straddle this huge tunnel. Oh, the cow. Oh yes. So there I fall on a thing we'll have like that, which comes to lodge exactly between my two buttocks. So I don't know if you like, as soon as I sit there, I really feel it. Then once I'm there, it's okay. But when I sit there, it's not very pleasant. The back is extremely hard and I can't pass my feet at the rear level at the back because I do 44 or do 40, maybe that pass. Then wait, no, I just discover another thing is that my foot passes to the left, but not to the right. Yet the seats seem to be set the same. It's suspicious, very strange why it may be a hair more set back here. Okay, if she would pass it, just need to advance a little bit. Okay, it passes, the 44 passes at the head level. If I put myself upright, and no, it does not pass. And the knees with two people my size in front of another side will do that. It holds my legs here, the place from here. No, it's very strange, this part there. That is hard, they're that way. Good, let's go see the front. Me, that's what I'm especially interested in. What we are there to buy cars and look. If it's good as a driver, go as usual. My little tour of the auto, it's always a lot nicer in there. So these three carriers I told you about earlier, but this large part here, we have a huge extent of bodywork, but in fact, like that there, what I see on my screen. Depending on its placement, it almost gives the impression of a sport utility vehicle, especially if placed higher. I really like the lights and overall design. Look, and on the side it's nice, but it's true, we find this big part there. I could quite like maybe the windows go a little bit further. This part may be a little less long, or that here be thicker, or I don't know. Well, I'm not a designer, but there it is. My idea on the front, very long hood, I really like. Long front hoods, diving like this with this look, this front right here, there. And same, when we look at it from above, it is still very pretty. The red suits her wonderfully. As I was saying, we even have little things there. For the fire windshield washers just here. And as I was telling you on this side, this part that comes there, it's pretty cool. Even the mirrors I like, they have a nice style. Come, let's look inside. We have these parts here which are in glossy black, so that's nice. On the other hand, it very quickly takes micro scratches. You can see this car at barely 1,000 kilometers. You may not see it too much there, but it scratches quite quickly. It's a pity, it needs quite a lot of attention. I even advise you to put a small expel protection on it to avoid its scratches, or else you'll need to polish it quite often. Here it's the same. It's very nice. It's like at the back, we find some foam a little bit here. Here, a rooster. And it's actually very light, foaming very lightly. Like at the back. So it's not hard, but actually it's hard. Slightly soft. And this part here, the overhangs, like at the back, this beautiful bar here that comes to the handle to open the vehicle lock there. Sonobos on this finish. Today, again, we find the leather there with the overlying stitches of the window and mirror controls and the bins here. So they're, on the other hand, this time, which are in plastic, we have electric seats. The seats with good support, it's leather, it's real leather, a little bit perforated. It's quite pretty. It lets breathe a little bit at the same time when it's hot. The headrests are quite basic, and honestly in the seats you will see we are rather well at the pedal level. What I like is that a pedal with the pivot on the bottom, so it makes that we press like this, and it's not just the one that sinks like this. Standard brake pedal and a footrest on the side, a little Mazda 3 mat here. And we're gonna sneak inside to the warmth. What I'm gonna do is back off. So there, I left the car running. It backs up gently. And there we can be quite tall. However, at the driver's level, no problem. What I like a lot about Mazda is this nice round steering wheel. And that's a real plus in everyday life. We have the heated steering wheel. To activate the heated steering wheel, it's here. And so we see the LED there. Then the LED is maybe hidden a bit too much by that, because when I drive, I don't know if I activated it or not. I have to bend down like that to see it, because there I see nothing. Heated seat also on 3 positions, but I have to start the car to have the right to my heated seats. I'm starting it up. Normally there's a little animation when I press the start button. Also when I start the car, and now I activated my heated seat, so we can see here. Then wait, don't move. I turn everything off like that. I redo the animation to see. So we have a screen in the center, and that's pretty cool actually. The camps does not go to the center and comes up to the sides. And in fact, we have a dial in the middle that is set on the screen, and I find that really nice. Then that's normal with needles on the sides as well, but there, on the other hand, it's all digital up to that point, and that's rather pretty. We can scroll through some information, for example, there, like that. We have some information, really quite basic. And what I like to know about this outline and speedometer is so graduated as in the past, the outline on the side here. So with a real needle. The trip that I can see, here the car is brand new and it currently has 1,221 kilometers on this side. We're going to find the cameras that I can activate here. Turn off the beeps with the alerts, etc. So the little shortcut here to turn off parking radars with the beep, turn off the SP, turn off the start and stop, and then seat memory on 2 positions. Here we have a little glove box to put your tokens or others, so it's not very deep, but allows to normally put business cards here. For example, I showed you the steering wheel can be adjusted in depth and in height. On the steering wheel, we find on this side the driving aids with the level driving of lanes centering the limiter here. The cruise control on this side here, the faster we invite, less distance with the vehicle that precedes more distance, and cancel the cruise control on this side here. It's the voice command, pick up the phone, the info, so the 3 little infos we've got down there, or nothing at all. If we wish the volume and change of source or change the music behind, we find the minus and plus paddles on the right. So that's if we want to shift the gears ourselves, since we have the automatic gearbox, as I told you then. On this side, we have the lights, with the automatic lights, and we even have on this side, when we press here, the full beam automatic mode for the night. The indicators make this noise, and on the other side we have the wipers with, of course, also an automatic wiper mode. And I have a small heads up display that's there, so I don't know if you can see it there, a little simple, but I have information I need, but indications. When I have my driving aids and others, the mirrors look like this. So you can see it there. We have a small bulging corner on this side here, but not on the right mirrors, the central mirror. Like this, we have a rather good view. Without edge, it's pretty nice. That I showed you, I'm going to show. We continue from the top. While we're at it, the little eyeglass case, that's always something I loved. I always said to myself one day when I grow up, I want an eyeglasses case. Like that, LED lights also here. And the SOS button is right there with the microphones. And we hear quite well on the phone. Up there, it slides with its little LED at the top in the movement. Here it's a little bit hard, and that brings a nice little side of card holder. Everyone has their own handle, the screen here, then we can talk about it. Because this screen here, look, it's not touch screen. That bothers me a little bit. I have to use this wheel, so a lot of people like this wheel, but now that we're used to the fast stuff, well, I find this a little bit annoying. For example, when I'm going to connect my phone, we're going to do it a little bit differently. Today, here I have a large tray with 2 USB ports. It's for fast charging, and it's a little bit cushioned at the bottom, and I'm going to connect my phone The CarPlay also works wirelessly, so this could be a good thing. And we also have a 12-volt outlet if we wish. When the flap like this, I can move it backwards or forwards depending on what I want. When I'm going to connect my phone here, there you go. Here, wait, is there an ad? The sound system is pretty good with Sonobos. When I go back here and I'm going to fetch my CarPlay game, I don't even know where my CarPlay is, that I can enable it Monday at the bottom. Here we go. Okay, fine. I pull this down all the pad and I activate my CarPlay. However, this time you can see that it's touch screen here. I can have music, my phone, etc. So here it's different. Why doesn't this work with everything? And for example, when I'm here and I'm driving and I have to use my scroll wheel, and to be sure that I'm indeed in the right place, I will have to look and see where it's going and have to stop when necessary, which is a bit of a hassle now. We're used to it. I click, and it's much more convenient. And this does not work while driving Mazda. I find this very annoying because I'm looking at the road, I say maps up, I know it's here, I clicked in half a second, it's done. Otherwise, I lose a bit the habit of looking there and turning, arriving at the right thing. Click and same on ways when you want to confirm a radar or declare something, you can't do it because you must absolutely use scroll wheel and it's too complicated. But otherwise, this little screen is quite nice. We have a good visibility. We have all the infos we need, and the same for maps or ways where the applications work very well. The top is padded here. It's leather with foam. It's frankly very pleasant. The steering wheel the same. It's padded, it's heated. We have the air conditioning unit just here. Hop, I can turn it back on here or turn it off on this side. I can sync both sides. I can desync if, for example, on the right, I want that, or resync to reset myself. Driver, temperature, air conditioning, air recycling here, stronger, less strong, or where am I going to get entire defogs, front, back, heated seat here, heated steering wheel here, and turn off the air conditioning. If I turn off the air conditioning, it still keeps me the heated steering wheel and the heated seats. We're going to put a bit of heating back. It's not warm today, the button to start the induction charger on the high-end versions. Double door coblet here and the gearbox at this location in automatic. To reverse, it activates the backup cameras for me. The mirrors are high quality, providing good visibility while lowering enough to avoid damaging my rims. Neutral and drive on this side. Then here we have the sport mode to press towards. The sport mode. Deactivate the sport mode. I come back here. The parking brake here, the auto hold so as not to have to brake when I am stopped and not have to keep my foot on the brake. The favorite button, the home return button, navigation and music. Also the volume. Here where to change music, I switch to the right or left, or I press on it to cut the sound. This I showed you. Then we have a small leather part that covers the top, quite convenient. And likewise, when I'm like that, it's a little cushioned, but I feel it. It's very nice. However, when I have it against the bone of the knee here, it's not very practical. Sometimes I would like it to be nicer because there, for example, you see it's very cushioned, does it? It would have done it higher here. That didn't touch the leg, it would have been perfect. That I showed you the other side's air vents, then it's very sober. It's very discreet. Air vent, the air vent down there, when you're like this, you hardly see them in short. It's all black on black, tone on tone, very discreet. And the glove box just here. Well, let's go try this car. See what it's like. We're lucky because it's sunny. Even if it's not very warm degrees, it's warming up. And what time is it? 14 hours degrees. At 14 hours, it's fine. Let's go for me with this Mazda 3, with this new engine. What I'm going to do is reset, because since earlier I've been standing still, the motor runs and the consumption was scary. So now I'm leaving from Saint-Germain in the east. I'm going to Fontainebleau and then going up to Orly for a nice little ride. We start in town, and the impression I get in this car is definitely the premium side. Everything I touch is pleasant. The steering wheel is heated. Another little thing where the top of the steering wheel isn't heated. Mazda, all brands, please put me this heated steering wheel top. I love to put my hand, at least, and there, the steering wheel is hot there. It's cold. It's 0 degrees currently. That bothers me. Okay, but when I have the leather is a little cushioned, it's very pleasant. The sensation in this car, it's I hear that there's a motor running. I don't feel that. It's a small motor, is precisely a 2.5 litre. Nowadays, it's almost a big motor, and I'm glad I have the auto hold. I activate it here, there, it's cold. The time for the car to return a little, but there is, of course, the start and stop. You know, now all these new cars, the seats are good, a good hold. It holds well at the level of the thighs, frankly. At first glance, it's very pleasant when the engine runs like that. At a stop, I almost have the impression that it runs like a diesel in terms of sound. So it would be quite discreet. Anyway, it's pretty clean there. I have a truck that's really glued to me. The insulation isn't bad. I like the sensation of the motor is precisely the fact of having a bigger motor allows to have this feeling of it doesn't need to climb high in the revs. It doesn't need to force so much. And it's pleasant, actually. It's this thrust that's pleasant. And I admit that it feels good. With the automatic transmission, we will talk about it later in other situations. It's still quite slow. We get the impression that it's a robotic gearbox from a few years ago. The gear shift is still very slow to see what it will give in sports mode. Because I discover the car with you, I like to do it this way today. We're lucky it's sunny. I will keep this car for a while, so I will be able to give you a more extensive debrief, the same for consumption. What will it give over a longer term? We will do, as usual, a little bit of all kinds of roads I like to do. Then we have, of course, all the driving aids. I can put it set here, so it's 70 here. I set myself to 70, adaptive regulators, lane centering level 2, driving in short. All the driving aids necessary, especially on this car, which is upscale, and especially this finish, which is the highest offered in the catalogue. I admit, frankly, there, when I drive like that, I'm at 70. It's extremely pleasant. It says, attention, keep hands on the wheel. The insulation gives this premium side. Even in terms of boost, there's some I see that the engine does not need to drop 1 or 2 gears to be able to go up. Steering assistance not available. So it tells me not available. Available, not available. Maybe because there is a full sun in front. It's done what's going to take over. It's good. It's taking over again. No, frankly, it's an insulation with even the rolling noises going up, etc. We feel a little cocoon. We feel that it's well worked out. It's rather pleasant. We'll see what it gives at the hour at a higher speed and on the highway. In any case, for that use there, it's not bad, and we feel to be in a sort of good car, a good sedan. So certainly the look of this one, it's not the sedan, but it's rather pleasant. We have Sonobos also that I could test very quickly at the hour here. It's 50, so we pay attention. We still have the CarPlay in wireless or wired. I like to leave it in wired. I don't like to charge my phone wirelessly because in the end, often it heats up the phone. It's not very good for the battery. It charges much slower all the time than wired. And at least this way, when driving, it charges. And well, that suits me. Allows to have my phone charged, well, every time. What I really like, as I said, is this is with this larger engine, for example. The room up, the engine does not drop gear. And even if I need to accelerate a little bit, it will do. It has torque, and it's really pleasant when it drops the gears. You feel it a little bit. There is a little bit of engine brake. That also is the advantage of having a slightly larger engine brake. Auto hold, I can release my brake. The engine just cut out start and stop. Micro hybridization is quite practical. It's not a real hybrid, and when I restart, it restarts quite quickly after that, but it takes a little bit of time. When the gearbox engages the gear shift, it does. It's very smooth, so you can feel that the gear shift, it takes its time, but at the same time it's quite smooth. I can play with my little paddles behind the steering wheel also if I want, but the best is to leave it in automatic box. It manages, frankly, very, very well. The brake pedal, extremely progressive, that makes a very pleasant car to drive. Even this steering wheel, the fact of touching this steering wheel, which is a little bit foamy with this leather, it is soft. In addition, it is warm. And when I restart, yeah, it's very smooth. It's very smooth, and that's exactly what we're looking for a little bit with this kind of car. No, I don't think they thought about redoing the Mazda 3 MPs. At the time, there was the sports version, which was incredible, that we could prepare a little, which easily went up to more than 400 horses. This car was a treat. I love that they can remake sports versions like this. So I don't know if in Japan they don't do it. Don't hesitate to tell me if, if they continue anyway to make some sports versions, because for me in the range, there remains now as a sports car only the 1010.5, which really is the ultimate pleasure car. I love to take one again, but I think the prices have really gone too high, and that stings a bit because 40,000 euros today for a small MX-5, even if it is one of the best pleasure cars. Well, it remains a very small car, and I prefer to put a little more before a car like this one, which will allow me to do a lot more things with even more comfort. And we are quite good. A large glass roof could have been nice. I just came out from the Mazda 2, which had this large panoramic glass roof, which was very pleasant. And in this kind of car, I like it since Mazda wants to make its cars more and more premium. They're already doing it. Even back then, those were nice cars. I liked Mazda, but one could feel that there was a will. It remains very sober, very elegant in the Japanese way. I like it a lot. We don't have the huge screens like we find in most cars now. It's that little simple screen back there. It's sleek. It still has the needles for the outline. That leads to the small side. That's the good cars of the time on the cobbles. It filters out even the noise that comes up. It's pleasant. We have seats that are a little bit firm, but that filter, well, also the vibrations we get on the cobbles at the moment, it's very pleasant. I can't wait to see on faster road what it's going to give, but I think it's going to be good. It's been a very long time since I took a Mazda, and frankly, like this, the first view, it has nothing to envy German premium cars.
I have to admit that on a nice tarmac like this, where it's smooth, it's very pleasant. Even when there are cars passing by, it's rather quiet in the cabin. It's pleasant.
The anomalies are well filtered.
You can feel that it's a little soft. We'll see on the little winding roads later, because I'm taking you there. But it's serene in the cabin at 55 there. I'm just above 1,000 revolutions per minute. It's very pleasant.
All right there, I'm giving you an 80-90 full throttle. 110, it's pretty effective. That speeds up the time it takes for the box to fall. The reports. Honestly, it's going well, and I'm going to make it to 110 here. I'm really a good car. I feel like it's a good car. It's very pleasant. I'll redo a little bit in a while, in a few kilometers. Finally, in about 50 kilometers to do the 90-70, all that. But I feel that this trip is going to go well, plus the one who's driving. I have all my driving aids, and everything isn't bad at all, so we're going to move on. In a tunnel, of course, automatic lighting of lights. In short, you now know almost all cars do inside. No ambient lighting, something very sober. We just have our central screen plus our meter that lights up. More small touches, but really simplicity in its purest form. Even in the tunnel, it is rather well insulated. We do not have double glazing. We just have quite thick windows. And I must admit that it's still pretty quiet inside the cabin, even if we're in a tunnel. However, what is unfortunate is that there is a little bit of a hard time sometimes finding the lane centering. And here, for example, it's telling me assistance not available. It's a little bit active, then it deactivates a little bit later, and then reactivates. I would have liked it to be a bit more advanced in terms of autonomous driving. It redetects well here, for example. The annoying thing with Mazda is that the touch screen only works at low speeds. And that, for example, when I use Waze and I want to go to my music to be able to change. So here I can do it at low speed, but as soon as it rolls a little bit, he does not want. And that I find it really unfortunate. So here, for example, I'm driving at more than 20 kilometers an hour or more than 10, impossible to touch this screen. It's a little bit unfortunate. On the other hand, as I have my driving aids, that on the other hand remains the pleasant side. The car stops on its own. She restarts. The start and stop works pretty well. It's noisy. And I see the Parisian region, the police all the time, the stuff, the traffic jams. That's why all these driving aids, they relax me, they soothe me. It feels good. On the other hand, when it moves a little bit and she stops, sometimes it is still up to you to touch the accelerator a little bit so she can restart. She will move a little bit very gently if needed. She is really delicate and she will stop. Certain stop go for those who know. In law, the N118 there at the bridge of Sèvres, we will try to go up, we will see what it gives. So when we push a little bit there, normal the guy against the grain, perfect. Go on, I push a little bit, I accelerate again. It's always flexible. Come on, I need the gas. Oh la la, there are pieces of truck and all. Incredible. 70 uphill. I'm at 2,500 revolutions per minute in the small sun. The motor is extremely quiet. How pleasant it is. How pleasant it is, in fact, precisely to have larger engines. That's why six-cylinder engines are so enjoyable on a daily basis. And even if I accelerate a little again, it still bothers to shift a gear down for me. Here it's 90. What I'm going to do is when I get to 90, I put my 7 and I set to 90 here and I use my driving aids. I noticed it makes a bit of plastic noise. It's good it's not making it anymore. On the other hand, I find that level 2 driving with voice centering disconnects quite often. That's a bit of a shame because when it's connected, it works relatively well, but I find that it disconnects quite often. All right, to overtake, I'm at 70, foot down, I get to 90. That's pretty bad. I'm coming back to the right, so I'm doing the little bits for you. 90, all that, so I go back down here. 90, I 7.90, I shift my gears, or to be in 6th speed like this, if speed at 80 kilometers an hour, I'm at 1,850 rounds minutes. Roughly in terms of engine soundproofing, it's very good. I hear very little of the engine. I hear the rolling noises of a cauldron, which is still quite aggressive here. There for the tires, it's not what's most recent and all new that makes more noise. It's still, frankly, pretty good. It's pleasant. My driving aids, I will increase the speed. We are going up to 110. The car raises the kilometers per hour by 10 by 10. It's when I have the tire there, it's she who relaunches it has fallen. A report, she goes back, a report here, I came back in 6 at 110 kilometers per hour. I am at 2,200 revolutions per minute, exactly. I still hear quite a few cars on the side. It's rather well sounded at 2,200 revolutions per minute. I hear that there's an engine running at the front. It's not noisy, but I know there's something running at the level of the rolling noises. It remains rather contained and the same whether we are in a cockpit. It's quite muffled. It's not more disturbing than that there for the... So I had 88 kilometers to go. I have 25 kilometers left. So over about 63 kilometers, I have an average at 5 liters. It appeared 5, 7, which is not soaring. We go to 130 here, it relaunches the same rather well, all alone. 130 kilometers per hour. First time I go to 130 with this car. So we feel the engine, we hear it when it accelerates. And frankly, at a stabilized regime, it is very discreet. I am at 2,000, 2,600 months, approximately in 6th report. The driving aids, as I told you since earlier, I have an average at 5.7 with a myth, so there were basically only roads almost at 90 with a very small 110. There were maybe 15 kilometers at 110, which is rather not ridiculous there. It's approximately flat. It indicates 6.5 liters in instant consumption. Being at 130 kilometers per hour, which is rather good. We have a 2.5 liter engine. It is pleasant. It boosts well. The consumption is not excessive. It is not a micro-hybrid. It is just a micro-hybrid that stops at the light. There is no 100% electric phase, or with the engine totally cut off. There is no freewheeling phase, like some new cars do. I also like it because sometimes it's true, it's nice when we let go, for example, on the highway. I will try to do it there to be sure, but for example, when I let go like that, I hit the brakes, and a lot of cars now go into freewheel. This one still does engine braking, so it could indeed be a plus. Going to put in 130. But it's not necessarily made to save and optimize to the maximum. But 5.7 liters on average for the moment, it's impressive for a 2.61 quarts engine without true hybridization. Here I am, arrived on my favorite little country road. It's very degraded to be able to test the suspension after so roughly. 70 kilometers, always average at 5.7. It hasn't moved much. So what does it give on these little roads that they're I'm going to put myself at 80. It filters rather well at the level. I like the good feedback from the steering wheel. There are many times when we pay attention to it. It filters rather well. Then there is a middle point, which is still quite neutral. And then it's okay if I switch to sport mode. I had totally forgotten this sport mode. The sport mode makes the steering a tad firmer. We have a little more response to the pedal. It doesn't hesitate to drop a gear more easily. We have a little sound. We can drop the gears to the paddle. It's okay, I corruptor it pushes enough. Then let's not forget we have 140 horses. This is not a sports car, but in reality it's not bad. A little quick there. Go, we take the big hole here as usual. So it's typed quite soft, though it bounces a bit, but it's not nonsense. It filters quite well. Sport mode isn't very useful, so I'm removing it and returning to normal mode. So we just have the normal mode, what they call off here, and the sport mode. So it's either normal or we activate sport mode. There's some plastic and furniture noise coming from various parts of the car, including the back and the sun visor when positioned a certain way. It's a pity because the car has 1,000 kilometers. As always, I'm not hiding anything from you in these videos. I feel it's vibrating a little over there. After that, in terms of suspension, it's honestly quite comfortable. It's enjoyable, and going at around 80-90 on these small roads, it's pretty good in terms of braking, as the pedal's very progressive, even when pressing a little harder on it. It's actually a very enjoyable car to drive. Okay, here I am on my completely empty road, 0 to 100. Let's go. It starts off gently, and then as it goes up, we hit 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. That's pretty good. 140 horsepower and heavy braking from 100 to 0 as usual. It works pretty well. So the braking brakes well the pedal. You have to press really hard to get a bite. Like I said, it is very, very progressive. It's safe, but you really have to press hard. The ABS did its job very well. We heard it, but I didn't feel it. I think it did its job very well. The car is flat, straight, it's safe. Okay, I'm coming to my favorite winding road. I'm putting my sport mode back because dynamic road, but I have to be careful because it's -1 here and everything is still icy green. Well, then the tarmac seems to be okay. So in terms of acceleration, like I have, it's going pretty well. Plenty of sunshine, and the suspension. It filters not too bad. I feel a little bit the defects, but the car remains pretty flat. It leans a little bit at the start. You feel it's a little soft in the direction when we turn left and right, but actually when we go at it dynamically like this, it's not necessarily inappropriate. Yeah, we'll go fairly fast, but we feel very little speed actually, as it's comfortable and in sport as the engine climbs up in the revolutions per minute, and we still have a 2 liters 5. It does make it audible a bit. It runs well. The brake, very, very progressive. Really, you feel you have to push almost like a sports car at times. It's nice to drive dynamically, but actually it doesn't invite you to want to go fast. We'll maintain a good rhythm, so I'm removing this as I've increased consumption, returning to 1.6 United States gallons while only driving on small roads. Since earlier, in fact, she doesn't invite to drive fast, she's rather quiet as a car, and then I'm going to make the U-turn at the same time. It will allow us to test the steering radius. Nobody. It's not too bad, but she's much more pleasant to use like this. Quietly, it's much more fun because she doesn't have an engine that's made to rev, actually. At the bottom, she has torque at the top. At the bottom, she has 140 horses. And above all, made to be pleasant. And clearly, for road driving, I really like it. Or in this way, well, it's much more fun. Like this, even with a little bit of rhythm without going too fast, it's good. And this car will rather be made for that. Okay, let's continue now. I go back on the road, I'll pick you up in a while. I keep it a few days and I'll do a debriefing with this car on a longer use. So here we can see that I feel full headlight, automatic. I have matrix lights, so it lights up the side, well in full beam, in front, on the sides. And when there are vehicles passing by, it stops illuminating the vehicles, but on the side, for example, I am in full beam, and I admit that that remains a little safety feature for the night. And I don't know if we're going to see it here, if it illuminated the side. No, as there are quite a few cars passing. I don't know if it's going to start illuminating again. So here, maybe to the right, we will see it if it starts to illuminate in full beam on the right side or to the left. We can see it on the right. There, for example, I am in full beam on the right part. It's really very clear. And we can see that in front there is a less lit area because the matrix lights avoid this area. And that remains a real safety feature. It's much more of visibility at night is clearly, I am a huge fan of matrix lights. Well, so for the start and stop, now that I've driven a lot with it, we can see there at the level of the full, all the way to the right, look at the counter. At the same time, the speed and the contour on the side. So there, I'm going to slow down to get to a light, and finally the car will cut off well before the stop, around 20 kilometers an hour, to make some additional small savings. I didn't have that before because the car must not have been driven for some time. So while the battery was recharging, I must have driven 100 kilometers before it worked. So that's why I discovered it later. So the start-stop activates well like a micro hybrid around 20 kilometers per hour. It remains stopped until it restarts. When the light turns back to green and I start accelerating again, little thing to know is that if I hadn't put on auto hold, releasing the brake pedal would automatically restart the car, but the start-stop feature might not reactivate immediately. Despite this, driving the car at night is quite pleasant, even without ambient lighting and other features. The simplicity and immediate startup when I restart are great. From the driver's point of view, I hardly ever do it at night because I have been doing a lot of tests lately, and I know that you liked it a lot, that I do night tests at the same time. You can really have a nice visibility thanks to these LED lights. It's very pleasant. Well, then this Mazda 3, what do we think of it? Well, it remains a very pleasant car with a sexy look. Rather, it's comfortable to drive. It's pleasant as far as the engine is the same. It's pleasant to drive. It's not a car that wants to be sporty, but it's a very good everyday car. For everyday use with sufficient pickups, good soundproofing, driving pleasure when we are cool, which is good in the end. It might just lack a little bit of dynamism to make the car maybe a little bit livelier. But in the end, are we looking for a lively car in this? Not necessarily. I do miss the days when Mazda used to make sporty versions, because that was indeed very nice, this red. I'm always quite a fan. It looks a lot like the red from Renault that I liked, the flame red, I think. I've always thought that if I had a lot of money one day, I could customize the color of even a Ferrari or Lamborghini. I would ask for it in red, like the Mazda or like Renault. But I think they still look a lot alike, these two. In terms of price, it's maybe a little bit expensive because it still misses three little things. There's no strut, for example, on the front hood. There's no electric trunk. There's no air conditioning. At the back, there are little things like this. The screen is not necessarily ultra touch sensitive. These are little things that are missing that would be good to improve on the next one anyway. After that, it's a good car. hoping it's reliable. I think it's a good car. I would take that if I had 40,000 euros to put into a car. After we're going to say that now, around 40,000 euros, there is still a lot of choice. And 40,000 euros, now we have 100 cars for 100% electric cars. And we know that we're being pushed a little bit towards electric, knowing that the massive A6 will start from 45,000, I think, for 100% electric. So there are questions that are asked sometimes. Should we switch to electric or not? Should we keep this after it's true that this engine is still cool in terms of consumption? As you've seen, it's relatively correct, knowing that it's not a real hybrid. It's a micro hybrid and it's not highly efficient. But on the other hand, Mazda develops its engines so that consumption is relatively moderate. So what would be your choice? Hybrid, micro hybrid, no hybrid, electric, plug-in hybrid, bicycle, horse. It's up to you to tell me. Well, if you liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and don't hesitate to subscribe, and I'll see you soon for upcoming videos. Bye-bye. Subtitling ST501.